Primary role that a CTO has is to make sure that we are making all the right engineering and product roadmaps, and we are also constantly executing on that. So that is the primary role which a CTO has to do. I am the CTO here, and my main responsibility here is to make sure that we are making constantly the right engineering and product steps, and we need to plan what the next large product milestones will be, how we can serve our users, our sellers, and our partners most appropriately by building the right product solutions. And that's what my job is. FabFurnish has actually identified significant new market opportunities. I'll be speaking about that later on. And as you identify these new market opportunities, you need to build the right solutions that can solve those large opportunities, right? So say, for example, if I can speak about how people buy home solutions like furniture. So when people buy a furniture, they're not necessarily just looking to shop online. They are trying to solve a problem which actually exists inside their home, and that is a much larger market which happens primarily offline. So as an organization, we are looking at that larger problem and saying that what more can we do in terms of our product and services to solve that very large offline problem and try to bring them online as much as we can. We just went live with a hyper-local version. Okay. What that means is that we will actually find out where you are, and based on your location, we'll start recommending you products which are actually available near you. Okay. Right? And we're actually mapping it with your expectation. So say, for example, if you're a homemaker and you want to buy a sofa, because you want a new look for your home, right? So we'll not just show you that sofa, we'll also show you what are the looks that you can make from that specific sofa, and what in those looks you can buy locally, and those which are not available locally, you can simply order it on FabFurnish, right? So it's a more holistic problem that we're solving, which takes the advantage of letting you experience the product locally and still be able to solve your home problem. So we're taking a slightly focused approach in onboarding sellers which can offer a wide range of solutions. So say, for example, partnering with established brand names who have multiple showrooms. Okay. So these are some of the steps we have. Brand names to start with, but that's just to get started, I would say. Because we don't want to essentially differentiate between sellers based on the brand names. If you want to be a completely neutral platform where the product being onboarded will be primarily driven by the fact how well the seller can service it. So we would not want to list sellers, let's say, who may have a lot of products on display, but they may not be able to service them. The sales cycle, supply cycles are really slow, and users might not like that, right? But if you see, since the buyer is meeting the seller face to face, they can actually decide it for themselves in a way. We need to understand it from a vertical space, right? Most of the solutions that exist in this space right now from an e-commerce point of view are the approaches which are being taken for horizontal e-commerce, which is like you sell it online, you have offers, and you hope that you will have a large market share, and so on and so forth, which works well for a market which is primarily driven by personal products. Home and furniture is not a personal product, it's a family product, sometimes even more. Which means it has to be very experiential when you buy. There are a lot of logistics around it, right? And we are completely forgetting the fact that there's actually an offline market which is very successful, right? So I feel that eventually the focus will start moving to actually leveraging that offline market and seeing how can we as online platforms do a much seamless integration with the offline world to offer a better range of solutions for our buyers. And I think that's where we are all moving towards. Something that we have been working on, and it will be launched over the weekend, is that when you walk into a showroom, right, you look at a sofa, let's say, and you sit on it, you feel, oh, that feels nice, right? But one thing that you leave it to your complete imagination is that, how is this going to look in my home, right? So we have actually integrated all of these physical offline products onto our platform, and you can just scan it, right? And we will recommend looks which can be made using that specific product, right? And all of that happens within a few minutes, and happens right inside the local seller's showroom. So we have a simple QR code which you can scan, and as you scan it, it launches all the available looks for that specific product. And I think that goes a long way in terms of scaling up. And if you see, that also makes the buying much faster, because now a buyer can actually see exactly how that sofa might fit into a specific home, right? So that's something which we are launching. We are we're also working on making the whole hyperlocal experience slightly more personal. So say, for example, when you walk into a showroom, you scan a sofa and you see certain looks. We can also make recommendations on where else you can find the related products and how far it is from where you're standing right now. Because when you try to essentially integrate with the offline shopping world, distance, especially here in India, is extremely important. You may find a sofa which lies in Noida, but you're never going to drive from here to Noida to buy that, even if it's half the price, because it's just not worth all the effort, right? So and these are problems which are very specific for India, and that needs to be solved appropriately. So these are some of the examples how we are actually solving them, and you'll see a lot more of such solutions from us, which focuses primarily on making the offline buying experience more streamlined, and in that process, improve the sales for the seller, improve the buying experience for the buyer, right? So it solves both sides. Technology is actually central to our future roadmap. And let me give you two very specific examples of how that is really important. So from the offline to online strategy, one of the key problems that we are solving is the seller should also be equally excited to list on FabFurnish, right? So what that means is that FabFurnish is not just a marketplace, it is actually a larger marketing and sales opportunity for the local seller, right? So how we solve that is that we actually let users know exactly where that specific furniture is on display, so that there are more footfalls inside the seller's showroom, right? So it's obviously a natural advantage, and that problem can be solved when you actually solve the location mapping and the scaling up of this seller marketplace significantly. That's one. From the buyer side, what it means is that you should not just be able to buy a product, you should also be able to buy a solution for your home, which means that if I buy a certain sofa, what is it that I can really do to transform the look of my home?
Okay, apart from that sofa.
Exactly. So we have launched solutions like Shop a Look, where based on a sofa we'll start recommending you what are the looks which you can have. So to solve all of these things needs whole range of engineering solutions, and that's what we do.